Yeah, this is not telling anybody how to memorize the fretboard in 3 minutes. I understand I might be coming across as a complete asshole right now, but sorry, that this is not how to memorize the fretboard in 3 minutes. Even the way he just recommended practicing memorizing the notes is going to take far more than 3 minutes. All right, the first video we're going to look at is called Memorize the Fretboard in 3 Minutes by Red Light Blue. I am unfamiliar with Red Light Blue. This is the first time watching this video. And pretty much I always do first time views and respond to things. So it's genuine. So the first thing I'm skeptical about is this idea of memorizing the entire fretboard in only 3 minutes. My first guess is going to be, here's a simple pattern you can use to navigate the fretboard quickly. I would say everyone has different memorization skills and abilities. So to just put a blanket 3-minute time limit, I'm already skeptical. Same thing with lose X amount of pounds or have a shredded six-pack in, 3 weeks or 10-minute abs and stuff like that. Well, the only way you could be shredded in 3 months is if you were already 3 months away from being shredded. So if you were already 3 minutes away from having the fretboard memorized, then yes, I suppose this video would work. But then again, I don't know. Let's find out. So I can't tell if this is a worried mouth or a mustache. What does YouTube think? What do the viewers think right now? All right, here we go.
Hi, so imagine you got a computer keyboard and it looks like this. What is this? Give me letters, you might say. And that's sort of what a guitar fretboard looks like if you don't take the time to learn about it. That's what I'm here to help you do today. Now, unlike a computer keyboard, you probably don't want to label the frets on a guitar. That'd be crazy. But say, hypothetically, if you did, this is what it would look like. That's a lot of notes. How am I supposed to remember all that? Well, it's not that easy. Well, why should I do it? Remember the keyboard thing I said? But basically, if you want to play guitar, but you never learn about the fretboard, music kind of looks like this. Like, you might be able to piece a few things together here and there, but you'll never get this. Wow, I know. Okay, so the fretboard. Right now, even with the labels, it probably kind of... That's a lot of notes. How am I supposed to remember all that? Well, it's not that easy. Well, why should I do it? Remember the keyboard thing I said? But basically, if you want to play guitar, but you never learn about the fretboard, music kind of looks like this. Like, you might be able to piece a few things together here and there, but you'll never get this. Wow, I know.
All right, here I go being skeptical. Oh, look! Wait! The mouth has appeared. It's pretty much underneath the mustache. Look at that. This is a very important part to recognize. Just the stick figure looks like a little kid to me. Why does the little kid have a mustache? Whatever. Anyway, all right. So this idea of if you know the notes on the fretboard, you'll have musical understanding. I do not agree with that. Just because you know what the notes are doesn't mean you understand music. In fact, there are plenty of people out there, I'd say, do not know the notes on the fretboard, and yet they have very good musical understanding because they just connect with the instrument, they resonate with the notes. So do you have to know the notes on the fretboard in order to have musical understanding? No. Do I believe it helps? Yes. Because, well, if I didn't think it would help, I wouldn't teach my students what the notes are on the fretboard. It can certainly help you navigate things more easily. You can find things more quickly. And it can help you have an understanding of music, but it is not necessary. I don't feel it's necessary.
Okay, so the fretboard. Right now, even with the labels, it probably kind of looks like this. But to make it easier, let's just look at one string, the A string. So a few things here probably already look pretty familiar. That's the alphabet. Hopefully, you already have that memorized. If not, but in the language of music, those are called natural notes, which means they're not sharp or flat. However, you'll notice an empty fret following each letter. Those are sharp. Ouch! With the exception of between B and C and E and F. Why? Well, because everything's fine. Now, the next thing you might recognize is this. Like hours on a clock, there are 12 notes in an octave. And also, like on a clock, once you get to the end, you go right back to the beginning. So after 12 is 1, after G is A. Crazy. So with that said, in order to memorize a fretboard, you only need to focus on the first 11 frets, because after that, it just repeats.
Wow. Nice.
But
That is true. So, if you didn't notice that, I mean, this video, he's got some funny things in there, which I like. I could definitely see this being something that goes by way too fast for some people, because it's just like, well, what the F is going on here? But anyway, so for those of you who did not know, the 12th fret, those are the same notes as your open string. So your E string, the 12th fret is also an E note. Open A string, 12th fret is also an A note. Open D string is also a D note on the 12th fret. And if you got 24 frets like this one, the notes happen again there. So that's an E, A, D, G, B, E again.
But also to memorize a fretboard, you need to know all 6 strings. A quick lightning round of information that's not immediately important, but that you should know. A standard acoustic guitar spans 4 octaves, consisting of 48 unique pitches. In comparison, a standard modern piano spans 7 octaves. So a guitar is just this section. But unlike on a piano, the beginning and end of an octave isn't as clear, because if you were to lay out guitar strings across those 4 octaves, it would look like this. You'll notice that working backwards from the 6th string, the lowest string, each descending string begins on the 5th fret of the one above it. Meaning, the 5th.
Did he just say each descending string? And in the YouTube comments, Mr. James Cook just now said, well, from the view of the player, I guess. And that's true. It is, if you look at it that way, that's fair. But in terms of pitch, the way I was taught it, the way I always teach it is, if you're going this way on the strings, you are ascending. He also said the lowest string was that open E, that low open E. So if that's the lowest string, how can you descend to a higher one? Sure, if it's just the way you're looking at it, okay. But as I tell my students, we are working to be musicians, so we need to view things with our ears. So this is ascending. Even though you're doing a downstroke, it does seem like backwards and silly and ridiculous. But yeah, we want to. I feel it's best to always think in terms of pitch. So like when I ask someone to, like, let's say take a chord and move things up a string, we're going up that way. So if we're doing something like 5, 7, 8, I say now we're going to just move that pattern up a string. It would be like that. If we were on, say, the D string, we went 7, 9, 10. If you moved it up a string, it'd be up to the G string because it's higher in pitch.
The one above it. Meaning, the 5th fret of the low E is the same note and pitch as the open string below it. And that's true for all the strings, except for G and B, where B matches the 4th fret of G. If you want to know why, goodbye. The other important relationship is that the 1st and 6th strings have this.
This is going pretty quick here. This whole idea of, hang on, let me go back. This is going so dang fast. Lightning round is what this chapter is called. Basically, it's like this is the old school way of tuning the guitar. So, if you hit the 5th fret on the E string, that is the note of the next string. And then if you hit the 5th fret on the A string, that's your D note, which is the next note name, or the next string's note name. 5th fret on the D string is a G, which is the next string name. And then the 4th fret on the G string is the next note name, or B. B is the 4th fret on the G string, and then 5th fret on the B string is an E. And the funny little thing in the video there about like, well, that's because, I don't know. Basically what I have been told is it's just to make playing your basic chords easier. And like, that's just, I guess, through trial and error how your standard tuned guitar came about. Because like, if you did this chord here, it wouldn't work out so well if everything was tuned in fourths. But yeah, basically E to A is a fourth, A to D is a fourth, D to G is a fourth, G to B is a third, B to E is a fourth. So, yes, it was just to make playing chords more easy. And that's that. I could be wrong, but that's what I was told.
The 5th fret of the low E is the same note and pitch as the open string below it. And that's true for all the strings, except for G and B, where B matches the 4th fret of G. If you want to know why, goodbye. The other important relationship is that the 1st and 6th strings have the same notes on the same frets, just 2 octaves apart. So they're both E strings, you know, guitar. So going back to our note clock, if you want to find the same pitch on a different string, just count up or down 5 per string. So if you're to lay out all the notes on a fretboard, it'll look like this. So for example, if you want to play B on the 6th string, you can play the same B here on the 5th string. You know what I mean? Music is math. So at this point, hopefully you understand the fretboard, and with enough time, you can figure out which note corresponds with what fret. And if you can, then in a way, you've already memorized the fretboard. Congratulations. But to get the most out of your new skill, you're gonna have to be able to pick out and play notes instinctively. Where's A? Oh, wow. Too slow. The first step to be able to do that is to be able to recite these forwards and backwards. EAD, GBE, EBG, DAE. You know what I mean? If you can already do that, try reciting every second one, every third one, every fourth one. But a great practice exercise that you should do simultaneously with the guitar is to pick out a note, like for instance A, and then play that note on each string, up and down the guitar, just over and over to a metronome, because music. And then every day, do a different note. And once you can do every note easily, practice 2 notes, but like repetition is key. So with everything in mind, a common misconception made by guitarists, I'm guitarist, is that if you know the basics, everything will come naturally just from playing. And in my experience, that didn't happen, but a little conscious practice can go a really long way. Before you know it, you'll know every single note on the fretboard, like magic. But it's not magic, it's practice, so practice. And yeah, that's everything for today. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, this is not telling anybody how to memorize the fretboard in 3 minutes. What? I need to go back and re-watch part of this, because I think he goes over like a way to understand what the fucking notes are. No. Perhaps I understand I might be coming across as a complete asshole right now, but sorry, that this is not how to memorize the fretboard in 3 minutes. Even the way he just recommended practicing memorizing the notes is going to take far more than 3 minutes. No. Hold on a sec. What? Let's go back to this note clock. What the hell did he say?
Strings, you know, guitar. So going back to our note clock, if you want to find the same pitch on a different string,
let's go through this again here. I kind of want to just listen to it like slower, because it goes so damn fast. Like, I get it. Like, make a quick, quirky video and like throw in some laughs. And it is entertaining. It's an entertaining video. I'll give him that. How informative and educational it is. There is some education in there. There is some stuff that's good and important to know. Like, the names of your strings is a good place to start. Understanding that there is a whole step between every note except B and C and E and F. The way I help students remember that is BC because BC rich guitars, E and F because elephant. That's just what I say. So there we go. B and C, E and F, and there you go. But yeah, everything else has a whole step in between. And if you know the names of your strings, then you can use that information to fairly quickly navigate one note to the next. Anyway, what is this 5 fret trick he's saying? Alright, 0.75 speed.
Back to our note clock. If you want to find the same pitch on a different string, just count up or down 5 per string.
Count up or down 5 per string. Well, which is it? Is it always, do you just get to pick whatever you feel like? 5 what? 5 frets? Because he used B as an example, so let's move up. here, so go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so he said just move up or down 5. Up or down 5. Well, which is it? Remember, he demonstrates using a B note here in a moment. So if I take this B note here on the low E string, 7th fret, go up a string, and then go down 5 frets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that is a B note. But what if I went up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, that's an A note there. So if I go up 5, you do not land on the same note. If you go down 5, yes, you do. But again, that's only between the E, A string, the A and D string, D and G string, but G to B, that won't work because of the tuning of the guitar, but B to E string, yes.
So if you're to lay out all the notes on a fretboard, it look like this. So for example, if you want to play B on the 6th string, you could play the same B here on the 5th string. You know what I mean? Music.
All right, well, he lays out something a little bit better. So like the B note on the G string up to the B string itself, you know, it does have only 4 marked over here. So you go up and then go down 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, even here you see it's just minus stuff, no going up. It would have been nice if he said something like this. If you want to find the same note on a higher pitched string, you go down 5 frets. If you want to find the same note on a lower pitched string, you go up 5 frets. So just saying go up or down 5 frets is not going to work. And not clarifying that, I think, will just add to people's confusion even further.
This is math. So at this point, hopefully you understand the fretboard, and with enough time, you can figure out which note corresponds with what fret. And if you can, then in a way, you've already memorized the fretboard.
Yeah. Well, it's an entertaining video. Again, I'll give him that. He did make me chuckle every now and then. But this, again, as I said before, this does not teach anyone how to have the fretboard memorized in 3 minutes. So, hey, what do you do if you'd like to memorize the fretboard in standard tuning? Just remember that, yeah, your string names is quite helpful. E, A, D, G, B, E. And the way I was taught how to memorize that is, you know, give each note name a word. So the phrase that I was taught was, every ass does good by everyone. Every ass does good by everyone or everybody. And then remember what notes have a half step between them. Basically meaning like no space between. So B, C, and E, F. So B and C, it's just 1 fret apart. So if you're on the 7th fret of the low E, go up a half step. 7 to 8, that's a half step. So B and C, there's nothing in between them. E and F, same thing. So everything else has a whole step. So if we start on the low E, the next note up is a half step, so just add 1. So the 1st fret, that is your F. So E, F, whole step to G, whole step to A, whole step to B, half step to C, whole step to D, whole step to E. And then same thing for the other strings. Start with the A string, whole step to B, half step to C, whole step to D, whole step to E, half step to F, whole step to G, whole step to A. So my recommendation is learn the notes on at least the E and the A string, and then you can use octave shapes to quickly find other notes. So what helped me a lot was just learning Iron Maiden tabs and recognizing that the power chord names like A5, E5, G5, and so on, well, those chords all began with those notes. When A5, G5, F5, well, the A5 begins with an A, G5 begins with a G. So that helped me out a bunch. So I memorized the low E and A string pretty quick, again, by following a bunch of Iron Maiden tabs. Now, octave shapes. Back to the power chord. If you're using a 3-string power chord, the note you have with your index finger and pinky finger, if you're using 3 fingers, that's the same note. So, if you're on the low E string, if you go up 2 strings and then 2 frets, you just found an octave. So again, from the low E string, if you go up 2 strings, up 2 frets, that's the octave. That also works starting on the A string. So, if you're on the A string and you want to find a close octave of that, you go up 2 strings, up 2 frets. Now, if you're on the D string, it's a little different. Because here, remember the tuning of the guitar? The G string to the B string, that's tuned a 1/3 apart instead of a 1/4 apart like the rest of the strings. So that's what the 5th chord would look like there. If I'm starting on the 5th fret again, we'd have 5, 7, 8. So if you want to find a quick octave starting on the D string, we go up 2 strings again. So 1, 2, but then we go up 1, 2, 3 frets. If we begin a 3-string power chord starting on the G string, it would look like this. So if we're starting on the 5th fret, we'd have 5, 8, 8. And then to quickly find a close octave while starting on the G string, we again go up 2 strings and then up 3 frets. So E and A string, up 2 strings, up 2 frets. D and G string, up 2 strings, up 3 frets. And as far as doing it on the B string, well, you can't because we don't have another string to use. We're out of room. So there we go. So I think that's it for our Memorize the Fretboard in 3 minutes. Not a bad idea that he had suggested using the metronome to cover finding hitting all the A notes. So what could that look like? Instead of just saying to do it, let's demonstrate that as well. This is something I've never done, but I have heard of the idea, and you know how I'm a fan of metronome. You know what? That's not a bad idea. So let's say you give yourself 4 beats to navigate each note, and like he suggested, finding the A notes, okay? So you could do something again, every 4 clicks, hit every A note on every string. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And then as you get better with that, you can do 3 clicks. So you'd have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, so on. And then you can do 2 clicks. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then yes, of course, 1 click. And there we go.